Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the November Alive Academy, Creating Your Professional Brand. Yesterday, presented by Karina Sadler. This is Gretchen Jordan. I'm the Alive Association Manager and your host for today. So it's great to see everybody, and we are very happy to have you here with us today. So I'm going to go over just a couple of quick little housekeeping items. So number one, we are using Zoom on the webinar function, so you're all automatically muted. But if you are able to use your camera, we'd love to be able to see you. I will make sure and go in and change the settings so you are available on camera. That's part of what this is all about. And then also we are recording this session, and Karina will graciously share her slides with us later, and we'll be posting this information on the Alive members only side of our website. And you'll get a follow-up email tomorrow with a little bit more information, and as well as filling out a brief review, and we'll share that information with Karina. And that really helps us improve further presentations, and we're always looking for your ideas as well. So I know that there will be some audience participation today, so please keep that chat box open so you can see what goes in there, and you can also give your input, and we'll go ahead and get started. First of all, I will go off camera, but I would love to go ahead and toss this to Karina Sadler, our presenter. She is a CVA and is currently based in Plano, Texas, and works for volunteers in Plano. And if you don't know anything about Karina, then you may not have been online at all, because, and that's part of why she's here today, is to share with us some of the great things that she has done about professional presentation and that presence online, which, you know, if you are of a certain generation, that may not feel like it's so important, but it's important more now than I think it ever has been. And so I really appreciate Karina being able to share that with us today. So I'm going to stop my share and toss it to Karina. Go ahead.
Great. Okay, can you see my screen, full screen?
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. So that's me, Karina Sadler. Before I tell you a little bit more about me, how are you really feeling today? Drop your number in the chat box. Let me know. Find the cat face that speaks to you. The Brittany's strong with the 6. Brandy's coming in with an 8. I'm an 8 too, Brandy. What? I'm so excited to be here today. Paula is a 3. I'm going to turn her into an 8 by the end of this session. Thanks, Rosie and Melanie, for chiming in and letting us know how you're feeling right now. Rebecca, I see you, a 5. Angela is a 1. I love it. I'm Karina Sadler. I have been a CVA since 2012. I'm a very proud Impact Award winner. Thank you, Alive. I have been a leader of volunteers in local government for the last 13 years. I've spent 16 years in government, and I'm fortunate to serve on several committees with CCVA, Alive membership, Engage, and the Texas Volunteer Management Conference. I took the academic route to become a leader of volunteers. At 12 years old, I began volunteering, and it changed my life. I'm based in Plano, right outside of Dallas, here in Texas. I'm a mom of 2 boys. I am Hispanic. My family is from Mexico. And today I don't represent my employer. I represent myself as a leader of volunteers. I teach volunteer management in a certificate program, but I'm not a consultant. I'm just a volunteer manager who really likes to talk a lot about our field. So today I'm going to share some tips for harnessing your digital presence, boosting your resume, and advocating for you, the most important person in this Zoom room. Susan Ellis said to believe deeply in what you train on. And I do. I believe deeply in leaders of volunteers taking a hold of their professional brand and using it to propel them forward. So before I talk about what brand is in this sense for leaders of volunteers, I'm going to ask you 2 questions. these two here. And I'm going to let you look at them for a minute, and I'm going to share a little bit about my journey. So when I started my career 16 years ago, I really did not think about these two questions. It wasn't until about 2017 that I stopped and thought about how I was going to lead my volunteer program from my career perspective. What did I want my career experience to be? And how was I going to get it? I started to realize at that time that it's up to me to create my career experience. My employer, my bosses, my colleagues, they make waves, but I drive my story. And my happiness doing what I love to do in our field. So if I want to feel validated and fulfilled, I needed to start with myself. If I want to be respected for the work that I do, I needed to start by respecting myself and how I was presenting myself professionally to both internal and external audiences as a volunteer manager. So question 1, what do you want other people to know about your career? I'd love for you to write this down and think about it this week, both of these questions. If you're comfortable saying something in the chat box, discussing this, I'd love it. I won't read it out loud, but for those watching the recording, think about this, write it down, give it some thought. So here are some examples for question 1. Do you want to be seen as the expert that you are? Do you want to build more trust within your organization for your role? Do you want people to understand what a volunteer engagement professional does? I know I do. So the second question, what do you want for yourself as a professional? Do you want to feel credible? Do you want to advocate for you and all that you bring to the table? And a side note, that advocating for you advocates for me and for everyone else in this room. What more would you have to do to be recognized for your excellence? At what point in our careers do we get serious about what we really want? At what point do you look at your skill set and say, holy cow, I am the total package of a volunteer engagement pro, and my organization is lucky to have me? Where will people see these messages about you? Working on your in-person and online brand is a strategy to get what you want. So let's talk about brand. Right, that's why we're here. Another term for brand is reputation. Another term for brand is trust with the marketplace. I love learning about trust. I read a lot of books on trust. This was music to my ears because trust affects people's behavior. Trust affects how people see us as a volunteer engagement pro. Trust affects what people see as our main deliverables to the organization. And all I'm talking about today, moving forward from here on, are the facts, right? The facts of your career. That creates your professional brand. So you already have one. That's why my presentation is called Doing This Yesterday, because it's already here. You have many amazing facts about you. So no embellishments, no exaggerations, just the reality of who you are in the workplace, in our field, in your career. Those facts build your reputation, and you can turn that into your professional brand, in person, online, wherever you need it. So if the pandemic has made us question anything, probably a lot of things, it's that in a professional environment, when we are not physically in a room, what stands? Where does our brand live and breathe when we cannot be there in person? And remember, another word for brand is reputation. So we had this, right? We were working from home. We were not in our organization's buildings. We were not at the boardroom table for meetings, whatever it is. We were not physically present. So is what stands working for you 24/7 with a spotlight on what makes you the shining professional that you are? Is that what's left in a room when you're not there? I've had volunteer managers come to me recently during job searches, right, over the last couple of years, finding it challenging. Even though there are opportunities out there, we hear everyone is hiring. We don't want just any job, right? We have an amazing skill set. We want to be great leaders of volunteers for the right organization. Can working on your professional brand give you a leg up in that scenario? Yes, it really can. But even if you're not looking for a job, I'm not. These tactics are beneficial. I'm going to give you some actionable items of things that I recommend, things that I've practiced, trial and error, right? Since 2017, flexing my brand. You can use your brand to help you in this new digital workplace. Establishing even just your online presence is crucial. There is no time left. We need to have an online presence as a professional. And that can also play a role in managing burnout. I think in my description, I said preventing burnout, but that's not reality, right? So we manage every day. It's at almost the end of the year, right? I'm like so overwhelmed, but we're doing it. We're working through it. And the reality is that we can manage those feelings of overwhelm, the imposter syndrome. We can do that. And spending some time focusing on your professional brand will help you. So taking control of my brand online shaped my career experience, and working on it keeps me motivated to continue this great work of leading volunteers. Staying relevant includes needing people to understand who you are and what you do in your role. When I started this journey claiming my brand, I knew that there were conversations happening online with people in my organization and community, and I was pretty sure that no one else was talking about volunteerism in service. There was plenty of room for me to enter that discussion, and there's plenty of room for you. So I'd like you to think about how you'd enter that discussion happening with colleagues at your organization, if you're not already there. How can you flex your experience and passion about your work in volunteer engagement to get engaged and have a voice, right? Have a say, have an opinion about things that are happening through your lens as a leader. So I went from trying to think of what to say to being listed as an influencer out of a staff of 3,000 at my organization, right? I made it onto that we have an internal influencer list, and I took a spot, right? The leader of volunteers. I was super excited to be up there with other professionals and represent volunteerism. So I took control of my professional reputation, and I knew that the visibility online was part of the key. That's also part of that, again, my burnout management strategy because flexing my expertise to others and sharing knowledge, it honors my experiences, and it really makes me feel positive about this work. And I can help others as well. So it's been a really difficult 2 years. Appreciate you taking time to come to this training with me. We will share the slide deck for sure. Some of us have lost jobs, received new jobs, maybe left those, right? This was the great resignation back in the summertime. I started hearing that. And that's when I really started to worry about the level of knowledge and experience we stood to lose when volunteer managers chose to leave our field, or sometimes they were released and it was not their choice. So those of us that are left make up this field, and our stories and reputations have to thrive for the profession of volunteer engagement to survive. We have to have voices, we have to be visible, we have to talk about our work. And there's a professional way to do that, but also has added benefits for your career. So whatever your goals are, whatever you've been thinking of in those 2 questions I asked before, whatever you have planned for next year, working on your brand can help you level up or create strategies. That's what we do in our field, right? We apply volunteers, programs and activities as strategies, right, for the mission. Well, we have our own mission. See, there's questions in the chat box. So we'll definitely have questions. Gretchen's going to help me keep track of those. We'll have a Q&A. So whether we're in a nonprofit or government agency or faith organization, whatever sector that you're in, we are doing business, right? We are providing services. And when someone locally tells me, Karina, when I think of volunteerism, you're at the top of my list. And I've never once sat in a room next to that person, I know my tactics for managing my brand are working, right? When I'm not there. This, journey that I've been on was about making me happier in my role, boosting my career experience through building relationships and my reputation. Part of my goal was to produce loyalty, right, through my brand for people to trust my knowledge of volunteer engagement by delivering results for them when they needed it, or providing something valuable and putting it out into the universe. Being selected to lead a volunteer management certificate program would never have happened without these relationships. And people can like you, right, without having shook your hand. And we've seen it in this digital workplace, Zooming and webinaring and training together with people across the country. We see it, right? We have fans, people we've never shared a meal with. They can trust you without knowing where you live or what kind of car you drive. Trust is a big connector. And earlier I mentioned taking my internal and external reputation seriously. I have to look at both of those viewpoints, right? Who are my audiences? I have to pay attention to those internal audiences as well. They have a great impact in my happiness at work. So I recruit, screen, interview, and place volunteers, right? That's needed work, but those are the tasks that I perform. They're not what fulfills my career experience. That's not what I want people to think that I do, or all that I do, or all that I have to offer. And if you're in a large organization, that can be really challenging, right? To create space for yourself. If you're in a small organization and you wear many hats, as our saying goes, you could really feel like there's really no time, right? To work on this, but you're here today. So that says something about your goals. Your online presence, big or small, does play a part in how you're perceived by others. Even if you don't want it to, right? Let's be real, people are nosy, right? They're clicking around online and boom, they land on something that has your name on it. That should be vetted by you. We should know what's there. We should be putting out content, burying stuff that we don't like or that's really old, and breathing life into our reputation online or in person. We'll talk a little bit about both. But building that trust and likability, it's really an underrated workplace skill. I don't think we talk about it enough. To my direct supervisor, if I need more buy-in and I want to communicate, hey, can we have some time? I want to share my wins this quarter. So they can understand what I do and who I am as a professional. Because decisions are going to be made, and some of those I have no control over. The more that I put out information about me to my direct supervisors, the more it will stick with them, or they'll come to me asking for my advice or opinion. All right, so how to start identifying brand moments. One, I want you to notice the way that you talk about yourself and your position at work. If you're an unpaid, if you're doing this as a volunteer, at at your position at your organization. Words matter. How we refer to ourselves and our work matters. People remember it and they replicate it. They will say what we say. Don't be afraid to mention what you've contributed to a project or program. If you went above and beyond, if you supported something new, have it be included. Mention it. That's part of your reputation. That's part of your brand, what you give. And if you are fortunate and you're being recognized, say thank you with a period, right? Don't say anything else. Like, oh, no big deal. I want to do that anyway. Like, just take it and say thank you, right? It's important that we receive recognition. If you're not being recognized, hopefully some of these strategies will build that in. If you've been ignoring opportunities to have a spotlight on you or your reputation or your skill set or your just general awesomeness, I urge you to pause in those moments and consider the changes that you make. We can align those to your answers that you had at the beginning of our presentation. It'll move you forward. All right, so ABC, right? Always be collecting. That's part of my brand management. That's part of what I do. Collecting stories about your career experience and examples of how you're flexing your amazing skills is how you apply your brand to make an impact, right? For me, if something happens and I don't have a picture, I don't have anything, but it's a great story, it's something that I feel is important, it connects pieces for me, I'm going to make a picture, I'm going to make an image. I'll show you my Instagram. If you scroll through, I make things. So I try not to lose those moments. I'm collecting stories and things in the moment. And I do that because, no one is going to care as much about your career success as you. And that's okay, right? This is our life. It's our career, should be very personal to us. But you have to look out for yourself, right? Number one, please. We have these careers and we should be enjoying them, right? Looking forward to it, feeling great at work, having our positions be valued. So find a method that works for you, but begin putting the pieces together of who you are, right? And the pieces of your brand that you want to spotlight. When I started this, I was a little like, okay, what am I going to talk about? How do I talk about my role? I want to build credibility. I want people to respect the volunteer program and see it as a professional program, and to see me as paid staff at a higher level. So I looked at my core values to decide what I'm collecting, right? To give me kind of that scope. If you don't know your core values, there's trainings out there, there's books and things, there's lists of values that you could look through. I read a book that had me pick 10. And so a few of the top, I picked like 4 of those as my core values. But so they were transparency, humor, influence, and leadership. So I'm collecting things that build my brand identity, or build my brand that identify with those values, right? That's kind of my jumping off point. So that's how I make sure that what I'm pulling together is, is streamlined and kind of represents my brand, my reputation. It might be in person, what I'm sharing at a meeting. I'm looking at my core values and I'm picking ones that I'm going to align with, and they may change, and that's okay. So how we share this collection of unique things, it's different for everybody, but I'm going to give you some examples coming up. But first, how do you feel about LinkedIn? Drop your number in the chat. See, there's questions coming in, and Gretchen's going to field those to me a little bit later. All right, Brittany's got a 9. Jennifer's a 5. I've got a couple of 5s. Melanie, Angela's strong with the 8. Awesome. Paula, 8. Susan is a 5. Got a lot of 5s and 8s and 6s coming in from Julie. Awesome. A 2. I love the 2s. Look at that sweet face. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about LinkedIn next. I want to kind of get the vibe, right, of the room, of how you're feeling. I also do some things on Facebook and Instagram, but we're going to be talking professional brand here. So my memes don't go on LinkedIn. So we'll keep it professional on LinkedIn. Alive has a LinkedIn group, and I'm going to put that link in the chat here in a moment. And that way I want you to join the Alive group on LinkedIn, make a profile, all that stuff. So we're going to take a look. But first, I want to say a quick few words about the paper resume, right? It's sitting in a file folder at your desk, on my desktop, right? Karina Sadler 2016 resume.pdf. Well, that paper resume is really not working. It's really not lifting a finger to hold up your professional brand. In the near future, I don't think there's going to be uploadable slots for PDF resumes anymore. And I think we're seeing some of that already, right? People that are getting selected, so many resumes coming in. There's more that we can do. All right, so back to LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn profile is often the first thing people see when they're taking a look at your digital reputation. So even if you think you don't have one, you might want to double check, because there was a period of time where LinkedIn had placeholders, right, for everybody that had an email address, it felt like. And there's millions of users. I've been using LinkedIn for 10 years. My profile helps me in a couple of different ways. It serves as a reflection of my work, really that I look to if I'm having a tough day. I've got proof right here, right, that I am involved in positive, great things, exciting things, people's faces and comments, and it helps me, right, when I'm having a tough day. Because it's that collection of facts, right? Transparency is one of my core values. So I know that this is real. I don't embellish. It's also your LinkedIn, profile, what can connect you to super cool opportunities. It can help you in your career by building you a network that pairs well with your brand, right? I talk about flexing my network. I talk about having a network, and people are like, I don't have a network. Well, what do I do? Being a part of Alive is great. That's going to help you build your network. Join this Alive LinkedIn group. I'm going to put it in the chat. Connect with one another. I'm going to ask you for your LinkedIn URL here in just a second. If you want to connect with me, I'm going to drop mine. You can build a network. And if you really want to focus locally, great. If national isn't your thing, but there's a lot of great voices out there, a lot of helpful faces and people in our field that would love to connect. So boosting your brand online usually starts here. Hashtag it's free, right? Spend no money. The only money I've ever spent in 10 years on LinkedIn is on a headshot. I don't have my own website. For me, that's unrealistic. I'm not a consultant. I've got volunteers, right? Knocking at my door in my inbox. But this place is free. It can do a lot. You can do some like set it and forget it type of things, whatever style, right? But whatever you do lives and breathes here 24/7 versus your paper resume. So I showcase my passions. I promote my causes. That proof, right, of what I do as a volunteer engagement pro. But bare minimum, take a hold of your profile. Just get it, clean it up, right? It should be vetted by you if it lives online. So get your LinkedIn handle, your URL ready if you'd like to connect. For those watching on the recording, find the Alive group and join that on LinkedIn. So my favorite parts of the profile, looking at time, the photo, right? I'd love to know what people look like, just so we can connect and I can like you. The banner, right? Canva, free banners. The featured carousel. You set your featured, right? These images here, this was an older screenshot. You decide what's featured. It makes it look beautiful. Recommendations, right? Asking people for recommendations can freshen up your profile. Those are visible, right? You can't have that on your PDF resume. Don't be afraid to ask for recommendations. And then volunteer experience, where you serve, right? I've got CVA, Engage, Texas Volunteer Management Conference, Alive, right there, right? Connecting me to those audiences. I see LinkedIn profiles are going in the chat now. I'm going to drop mine. So you can save the chat. Don't leave. Don't go to LinkedIn right now. Save the chat and you have all those URLs and you can connect with everybody. And we'll see. We'll watch your profile blossom. So yeah, have a profile photo. You can also record yourself saying your name. I'm Karina. So I get a lot of different pronunciations of my name. So when people come to a webinar with me or a meeting in person, they may want to feel okay that they're going to pronounce my name right. So boom, you can do that on the app. Record yourself saying your name correctly because it matters. It's important, right? You should be addressed the right way. All right, so there it was. LinkedIn profile drop time. If you haven't put your LinkedIn in there, you want to connect, let's do it. If you don't have a profile yet, join that Alive group. When you do, that is also in the chat. That's how you build a network and connect with people. It's one way. Also, getting engaged with Alive, joining things. You're already here, which is awesome. Your local associations, CVA, Engage, Journal, there's so many places that you can get out there, right? And build a network. You never know who might want to partner up. So what do I say about my brand on LinkedIn? Deciding what I was going to say, it can be tricky, right? To know what is your thing? What do you talk about? But here's my goals for maintaining my profile. I try to stay within these boundaries so I don't go off. Like I said, my memes are not on LinkedIn typically, unless they're really good. Just kidding. So think of what your versions of these would be. So for employees at my organization, I want them to know we have a volunteer program. Like, hello, right? We have a volunteer program. I also want them to know what I do all day, right? Why they should want to partner with me for projects and things, that I'm available. Please call me and check in. Let's talk about volunteerism. For those in my community or just external audiences, I want them to be able to come to me with questions about volunteerism. I can steer them to my programs or others. Or if someone needs resources, needs help in my community, needs food, needs clothing, I can direct them right to resources, because I have a network of nonprofit partners and people that I know, to be able to refer and to give resources. I also wanted them to know there are positive, good things happening here, that people are calling us, wanting to serve, and that the phone never stops ringing. I just have it on mute right now. Those are just some examples. You would decide kind of what do you want to talk about? So it's important to work through this. It's important through this work to ensure that others will understand exactly what we're doing and why we're doing it as leaders of volunteers. Consistency is important when you're working on your brand. You are an awesome professional. I already know that. But you have to be ready to prove that sometimes, right? Whenever the time is right. If you feel there are moments that you are being put down or excluded, happens in the workplace, what actions can you take? This is self-advocacy work. Taking control of your career experience and your reputation internally and externally is advocacy. You are creating your space to share your reputation to reach your goals by making connections, providing proof of the facts, and keeping things fresh. So having an online presence and managing it helps you build valuable and trusting relationships. That's what we need. Okay, so think of 2 things that you want to focus on about your career. They're big parts of your story, right? Think of what lives between the lines of your PDF resume. If I came into this Zoom room, we're in person, and I was like, I've got this amazing opportunity. I can select 2 people. Everybody give me your paper resume. That's how I'm picking. Everybody in the room would probably be a little worried, right? What's not on there? What lives and breathes between the lines? That is what you can flex and have by working on your brand. Everything that's not there that you'd want somebody to know about you, right? To select you for that job, that opportunity, pick you for the board. I don't know, you're applying for whatever it is that's important to you, right? And they're doing the Googling, they're looking. What do you want people to ask of you? If you want to do more things beyond things, but nobody's asking you, they don't know that you want to do it, that you're good at it, right? That you excel at that. We have to build that into part of our story if we're not being asked to work on things that we want to work on, being players at the table or whatever it is. You have a style, you have a personality, you push that out, right? We are all different, and that is important. Again, going back to the facts. So this question actually came up at the last Alive networking event. This was in one of our breakout rooms. Who are your biggest fans in your organization? And in my breakout room, everyone was kind of like, I don't really know who my fans are. And so I thought that would be a great question to include because it really got everybody thinking. Right? I mean, I hope you have a long list. And if you don't, well, maybe that's one of those things that you want to work on, right? And in the discussion in that room, I felt like, maybe some of our colleagues are disconnected from who we are. Sometimes we're the only one working with volunteers. That can be a challenge, right? To feel included, to have people connect with us professionally. Are they seeing and hearing right? About your brand, about your reputation and what you're doing. Could that build fans for you? You just have to nurture those relationships. That can be a challenge as well. But are you fans of other people? How do you engage with them? You really like the work of some of your colleagues? You think they do an amazing job at what they do? They're just like so good. Okay, well, how do you show that? Build in some of those opportunities. All right, so now we're, some of us are going back more to in-person. Oh, if you had some strategies for building fans at your organization, feel free to put those in the chat box because it seemed like it was a tough one. All right, so leveling up your in-person reputation goals. Someone said on my LinkedIn profile that you can't be what you can't see. In that context, we were talking about just showing up about our profession, talking about what we do. And I thought that was such a good point. We want new volunteer managers to come in and be excited about this field, right? To discover Alive, to sign up for trainings, to become a CVA or whatever it is. If they don't see and hear it, it's hard for them to get excited if they're a volunteer department of one, right? We want to have that out there as well. That's a broader hope, but I think it's still important for the longevity of our field. So some things that you can do, make sure we have time for questions. I'm all for public speaking training, right? Practicing. If presentations are a big part of your organization, or talking up at meetings, standing in front of a room, if that's difficult, like practice it. Get some, do it in front of your friends or your family. But if there are opportunities where you can get in front of people and talk about your work, do not lose them, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second, I think. Get practice, ask your local association, hey, I want to practice public speaking. Can I have 10 minutes at the beginning of this meeting to, talk about something? Local associations hopefully will be receptive to that and giving that experience. Coaching is a great idea. There's a mentoring program with Alive. You could be a mentor to someone. You could find a mentor. Getting more active in your associations nationally or locally, I think would help you with some of these network creating and being more confident in discussing what you do. And then when we're in person, we should have something to say, right? When we're approached by someone in the community or someone at our organization. And I'm not talking about the elevator pitch for your volunteer program, right? Like you might do that if you go and ask for donations or you're recruiting or something like that. But when you get in front of someone and they're like, hey, what's going on? How are things for you, right? Plan to have something to share, right? A story. I do this, I know ahead of time, like, okay, if I run in the hallway into so-and-so's, like, this is what my thing is for this month, like, this is what I'm talking about. And have it be something positive, right? So kind of make that decision ahead of time so you don't lose that brand moment and say, oh, like, it's fine. Like, I'm okay. Now, if you're having a bad day, okay. Otherwise, something positive. I think we fix problems a lot. So sometimes we tend to be negative when we explain like, oh, I fixed this, it was terrible, the volunteer did this, or like, I can't believe, they didn't show up or whatever, negative. And then you go off. Think of something positive that you're going to say, a new partnership you're working on, something successful. You just did this or that. Like have that in the back of your mind. So in that moment when you run into someone, boom, brand moment, you know what you're going to say. Those opportunities can really be impactful. I have had people remember things that I mentioned and follow up. Hey, you told me about that partnership. We're putting something in the newsletter. Like, do you think you'd want to, mention that? Brand moments. So make that a goal, right? Something that you're going to say if you have these opportunities, run into somebody. Signing up for leadership programs. I think I forgot that. I see some love for Canva going on in the Chat box. Yes. Canva. I love it. I've done all of my graphics for free. You look at my Instagram, it's all Canva, it's all free. All right, so let's talk about staying relevant. I'm looking at the clock. I say staying relevant, and I know for some that can be a very difficult thing. But, when I decided that, I wanted to be the expert on volunteerism at my organization, I started thinking about the relationships I've built and if I was nurturing those, right? Because I need to stay up to date and with people, like keeping those relationships fresh. That relationship management piece of managing your brand, because your brand connects to more people, is so important, right? Those are the people, they're the stakeholders in the marketplace, right? That trust. So thinking about your perspective, your story, it lives, it breathes. You're passionate about what you do. Let others see and hear that. All right, and I mentioned this before, sharing more about you and your work helps others find joy in this field, right? End of the year, burnout, overwhelm, we can be inspired by hearing about you and what you're working on and like, oh man, they're doing such a great job over there. Catherine's doing awesome. Rosie, Susan, Gretchen's doing great work for us at Alive. The Brittany's in the house, they're doing amazing. Like sometimes I need that. And I love to hear it and see it. Makes me feel great about what we do. It also helps you grow that network and create your community of supporters, your fans, right? We need people to lean on, to cheer us on, right? To help us, to provide resources, to say, you're not crazy, right? In volunteer engagement, we've faced some pretty unique situations. Okay, I want to make sure we have time for Q&A, so I'm going to buzz through this. Okay, I did talk about boosting your resume, right? Things that you can do, keeping track of who you meet, right? I do that on LinkedIn. You may have received a LinkedIn friend request from me or Facebook, or I might follow you on Instagram, but I want to keep track of people, right? So I can use my network if I need to, and then I can give something back if requested, or I just throw stuff out there on the internet. Reclaim your work. I do want to mention this one specifically. I've had volunteer managers that leave their organizations and all of the work that they've done, right? The handbook, the applications, the beautiful website, and the social media content gets wiped after they're gone. It's no longer accessible to them for whatever reason. It's really important to reclaim your work now. Have a backup. We saw Instagram and Facebook went down, right? What if all of our pages were deleted? Like that's their property. It's not really ours. Having that backup, really important. If you've got a gorgeous volunteer handbook, flyers, whatever that you've made, you created, own it, like save it to your personal drives so that you have access to it no matter what. Again, don't forget your personal brand lives through others when you're not in the room, right? Will they bring up your name? Will they compliment your skills in front of others? Will they say that you need to be included? We want yeses to all of those things. Okay, so we will have time for Q&A. So working on your brand helps with career stress, right? Again, you are not alone in this work, even if you're a department of one. You can find other departments of one. We do this at trainings all the time. Identify yourselves and get together, right? Hug. It can re-energize you, right? Looking at the facts of your career, of what you've done. Hopefully that's really motivating. It should be, right? You put a lot of work into these things. It's a representative of your professional life. It can also give you a creative outlet, right? I don't use Canva for my paid work. I use Canva for fun to build my brand. That's my creative outlet. It can market your unique skills either for that next great opportunity to move up internally, to get on a board of a local association. I don't know, you're applying for grad school or like a scholarship, all kinds of stuff, right? Can help you like refine those unique skills and get them out there. It can help pull you out of a plateau. It can help, thank you, Angela, I saw that. It can help lift up our field. I think I've said that a few times, but you guys, like, so glad you're here. I love to hear your stories. It really does. It lifts up our field. It gives motivation to CVA and Alive and BMPC and Engage, International Volunteer Managers Day, like all these other entities that need us, right? It lifts them up. It also does something for your game there. And I say this all the time, there's no shame in the game. Like, please do what you need to do for your goals that we talked about at the beginning. So social networking, Gretchen mentioned, you might have seen me online or follow me on Instagram, but I love social networking. It's not about the likes and the follows for me. It's about that creative outlet. I get new opportunities, right? By having an online presence. I get recommendations from people I've never shared a meal with. I add that the people feel like they know me, and I actually don't do a lot of video. I do very few. So it's not like I'm a personality necessarily, but through just text and photos, right? I can get connections to people. And you can also follow people. You can follow people on Facebook without friending. You can follow people on LinkedIn without connecting. And then for public profiles on Instagram, you can follow. So using that follow button for people that you are like, oh, I love that kind of job. Like, how would I ever get that kind of job? Follow people that have those kind of jobs. See what they talk about. Join that discussion. Bring your expertise. Okay, so other options. I'm a millennial, right? So I'm into the Facebooks and stuff like that. But I encourage you could write about your experience for Engage, right? engagejournal.org. I serve as a volunteer there. You could have your own website, right? You could do a YouTube channel like Dana Litwin, share advice. You could have a blog, right, with Meridian Swift. Or if you're just collecting, put it in a Word or Google Doc. Just start putting together the facts of your career, look at your core values, answer those 2 questions. Because if you don't advocate for your brand, no one else will. We can no longer wait. It is time. All right, Gretchen, what kind of questions do we have? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, I am. We've got a wide variety, and I'm going to, edit a few. But one of the questions, which I think is really good, is how much time do you think you should take to keep your online brand up to date?
Oh, good question. Actually, 1 second. Boom, I got to do that. Okay, how much time? How much time? Oh, that's a good question. So, it really depends on where your focus is. So on LinkedIn, I mean, I'm a rabid user, right? I have very few hobbies. So I am not I'm not the model citizen for this, but bare minimum, I mean, get in there, refresh your LinkedIn profile, right? Make sure everything, spend a little bit of time. It actually probably won't take you that long, but refresh it, make sure everything is approved by you, accurate, right? Talk about your work, get a photo on there, do all of that you can set and forget, right? You're like, okay, if somebody stumbles upon my profile, it's good to go. The rest of this, it really depends on your goals. If you are actively job seeking, you're going to want to put more time into it. If you have eyes on getting your CVA or joining an Alive committee or a board, you're going to want to spend a little bit more time. It really varies. Now, you don't need to write novels on the social platforms that I'm talking about, which is awesome. You just write just a little bit, So it just like you get concise, you get practice, and it's not about the likes and the shares. If you make some posts out there if they don't get a like or something like that, please don't delete them or like never get back on social media again. Like that's not the point. It takes time. It's like a building thing. It's also you're learning your brand and who you are and what you want to represent. If you're connected to a lot of people at your organization, they're going to see it. Like, again, people are nosy. So for sure, I have tons of people in my organization that do not interact with my content, but they'll reference something that I posted. And I'm like, you're so sneaky. So I hope that's not really an answer, but it really depends. Again, don't overwhelm yourself, but don't spend 30 seconds. Like spend a little bit more, a little bit more time. I'm happy to look at your LinkedIn profile if you want me to, just for fun. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Karina in Plano. I do have a professional Facebook page I decided to make, even though at this point, I don't know if it matters, but again, not about the likes, but I decided, hey, I should probably have a professional Facebook page so people like Alive could tag me and stuff and all the work that I do at Engage. And then my LinkedIn profile, everything's public. You can just check it out. Other questions?
Yeah, and I would also add to that, what's helpful for me, I'm a big calendar person. And so I just calendar it once a month, update my LinkedIn profile. Do I do it every time? No, but it's calendared. So at least once a month I'm reminded. And I think that's important because I'm that kind of person who might post about really excited working on this upcoming project. And then I'll look at the profile and I'm like, ooh, 6 months ago, I really need to do that more often. And as well as every 6 months, to update my resume, because you just never know. It's always nice, and there may be something really awesome that happens. And if you have opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. Great advice.
Um,
I see some impact award winners in here. So if you've got that impact award, like make sure any award from your association, from your employer, whatever it is, get it out there. Don't forget to update all your stuff.
Right. Here's another great question. Do you share the same story across all media platforms, or do you mix it up?
Oh, so tough. So best practices of social media marketing, you are supposed to share different content on every platform, right? Ugh, who has the time? Like that's super hard, right? So you would shoot a video to put on Instagram about whatever the topic is. You would write like an article to put on LinkedIn about that topic. On Facebook, maybe you would make a graphic or something. That is so challenging for me. I also manage social media for some of these organizations. So I live and breathe that conundrum. Now for like memes, like Gretchen and I made a meme. I'm like, hey, can you slap that up on Volunteer Management Snark? Because it doesn't really, like, I'm afraid to put it on all of my channels. So yeah, like I try to have memes go more on Instagram. If I'm sharing like articles or tagging organizations, that's more like Facebook. And then accomplishments and relationship building is more like LinkedIn. So I try that and you're supposed to, but it's really hard.
Thank you. And I will say this is what I've been working on while we've been on the call is, oops, I have to
move it to the middle.
I have to, well, let me just take my background off to none. This is what I'm working on right now. It's getting out those impact awards out to our recipients.
Yay.
So like post a picture with yourself, like
yes,
that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Works.
You don't have to win an award either. No,
right.
Like whatever it is, like
it could be, hey, I made it to Friday.
Yes, I told somebody I took a nap on this weekend. I'm so proud of myself.
Here's another great question now, and I just want to check. I have this going until the half hour, not at the hour. Is that also what you have?
Oh, no, I have it at the hour, but I'm available. So we'll just answer questions until we run out.
Okay, that is great. It works for me. And so letting folks know as we're coming up on the hour, we're still continuing the recording and we can stay. And if not, if you need to go, you can catch the rest of the recording. So here's another great question. What happens when it seems your ideas are stolen and others portray them up the ladder to levels above me? They're stealing your show.
Whoa.
A little bit about individuality, I think.
Wow. That's a tough one. I'd love some comments in the chat box since we have a great group of professionals here. The work was stolen. The great ideas. That's really challenging. Gosh, that's such a good one. I mean, I would claim my part of it. God, it gets really sticky though with people. And, you know, you will get people that love credit, right? They're not about the facts. They're just about the credit. They're about the bigger picture. And they don't really want to get into the details of who came up with what. It's for the team, right? Which you have those people. So this kind of counters some of that. And maybe you let something go. Like, okay, there's nothing you can do about that one, but for the next time, claim it. Do what you have to do to own that idea, or bring it up at a different level or something, or bringing it up in front of others at a team project meeting where you're like, I'm going to voice this. Again, words matter, right? So the way we talk about this idea being strong with it, I have not encountered that myself. If there's other things coming in, be great to share. That's a tough one, and I feel for you on that.
Here's another one. How do you balance being humble about your accomplishments and also tooting your own horn? And you talked about it a little bit in the presentation, just the simple thank you.
Yeah,
That's all you can say. What else?
You're gonna have people that are not into this. Of
Mhm.
course, that's why I don't have a million people in this webinar. It's a scary conversation. People get uncomfortable, and that's okay, right? It drives me crazy, right? If I see people doing amazing, awesome things being recognized, and like, they're just like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I don't want to talk about it. That's like, okay, right? Their goals are not your goals. You were being humble in that these are the facts. This is just the reality of what's happening. If you're really good at your job, like, that's great. There's nothing false about that. And so, and I struggle with that as well. Like I participate in a lot of different things, but I'm not going to lose one of those brand moments, right? Because I posted about something yesterday. Like, there are people connected to these things, Alive, Engaged, TVMC. Like, there's more people than me. So while I'm leading this webinar today, I'm going to connect people to Alive. I'm going to encourage people to, talk about professional development. I'm going to, tag my other people. So it's like, there is more to it than me. And I try to convey that in what I share. But that imposter syndrome kind of thing, it's just like, you're going to meet people that don't like it. And usually usually you're not doing it right? If you don't have people that don't like it.
Right. How about, do you post in real time or do you schedule it?
Good question. So I don't have a scheduler. I've thought about it. Sometimes I will have a burst of like something just happened. So I make notes, I start writing the draft of my content. But if I just shared something, right, I want to give spotlight to that content. So if I just shared about the Alive Academy, I'm not going to share something right after it. I'm going to let it breathe and like let people interact with it and give it its due, right? I want Alive to have a spot. So sometimes I do save things. I might put on my calendar, like, oh, Wednesday, I'm going to talk about Morgan winning the Impact Award. Friday, I'm gonna take pictures at the tree planting, and I'm going to mention Arbor Day in Texas. So some of that I do try to plan out and write a little bit so I don't lose something. But if something happens in the moment, you'll see it light up. Just can't help it.
Thank you. I'm skipping around a bit, but I want to make sure I get, let's see.
Yeah, and if there's good comments, save the chat. LinkedIn URLs, people's replying to some of these questions on their expertise, like, please go back and read that.
And you talked a little bit about using Canva, and that was a question about software to creating images. And I've been messaging Paula that perhaps a great topic for a 2022 Alive Academy might be a little boot camp on how to use Facebook, how to use LinkedIn, and how to use Canva, because I think people have, and I know I do for sure, different levels of expertise.
Yeah.
Just some chance for people to show and tell and do some real, hardline practice. Any other tools that you use that are helpful, the tool within the tool?
Gosh, yeah, I've been pretty heavy on Canva. My PowerPoint presentation was on Canva. I make certificates on Canva, but again, I use the free version. I drain every free cent out of that thing. So it can be done, right? Again, I've spent no money on my professional brand aside from headshots.
Okay, great. No money is good. And so another question, and I know this is also something with many of our colleagues, I think that they are concerned about getting really active on social media just because of the privacy concerns, and just your thoughts on creating a professional profile versus, a personal profile. And I know for both myself and for you, I mean, I think we're both very much what you see is what you get kind of people. And so we post about work, we post about family, post about play, all in that same spot. But what are your thoughts about,
Yeah.
creating and you said you just did for Instagram.
Yeah. So Brandy points out there's a free Canva membership pro for nonprofits. So for those on the recording, don't forget, check that out. So there is the privacy concern. If privacy is a huge concern, I would not be in social media. Like that's it. That's the advice I get from the trainings that I have attended and from brand management, marketing people. If that's a concern, it's really better to not engage there. There's other things that you can do, the in-person stuff, the writing, other things. If you decide to use your social media to tell your professional story, I've done both. I've had my personal profiles, like Gretchen said, we're connected. I share things with my friends. Then I have a public profile. So then I have public posts, right? So the great thing about Facebook, you can have friends only posts and public posts. So I make a concerted effort to know exactly what I'm sharing with my friends and what I'm sharing with the public. So those are two very different posts. Photos of my children are friends only. Photos are information about volunteer engagement, public. I made a professional business page on Facebook because I was testing whether transitioning all of my content onto a business page made more sense versus using my personal page as a hybrid. There's some stuff out there about that, and I'm still kind of weighing the options. We are up against the algorithm of these sites. So Facebook is about the paid ads, right? So your paid professional page is not going to rank in the algorithm like your personal page. That's what I've noticed. So I do both right now as a kind of a test. On Instagram, I made a public Instagram on purpose, rarely photos of my family. People can follow me without permission, and I know exactly what's there. I have a personal Instagram that I rarely use, but it's there for like if I want to filter a photo of my children or something like that. And then LinkedIn, you have the option to make it public or not. Customize stuff on there. In all of these platforms, you have settings. Become friends with the settings, understand how they work, and see where the conversations are happening that you want to engage in. It might be Instagram, it could be TikTok, it could be that no one's on Facebook that you really want to connect with and help work on your brand. So that takes some kind of understanding of kind of your community and kind of where you want to be.
Thank you. One more question, and then I've got just a few quick follow-up slides, so we'll be ending up in just, probably 5 minutes for those of you that might have other things. And thank you very much, Karina, for staying a little bit past the hour. The last one is just, suggestions for kind of having people review your profile. You said you were happy to do it, but what suggestions would you have if you wanted some objective feedback about your profile?
Yeah. There are professionals that do this work. Like, there used to be resume writers. Now there are people you can pay to help you work on your LinkedIn profile. I just joined a group called the LinkedIn Revamp, and so I'm learning some things as well. So there are, paid kind of professional people that do this, right? Brand marketing. Some of it is more focused on hiring and recruiting as far as like you're looking for a job. So you want help to reach a new industry or something like that. But if you have people on LinkedIn that you interact with, that you see, that you love their profile or you like how they post on LinkedIn, a lot of people are pretty receptive to saying, hey, like, what do you think of this? getting some feedback from people you trust, right? Maybe it's someone that you want to know personally. Find people that are power users of LinkedIn that do it really well. A lot of them are super nice and will give you some input.
Oh, I totally concur with that. Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up with the announcements, and let's see, do I have the displays right?
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So just a couple of quick announcements. Watch for your live newsletter next week. If you're not getting the newsletter every month, you're probably not getting other emails and messages. So do check your spam folder. And if that is not the case, let me know. We've just upgraded our email system that if you have like your personal email and your work email, from now on, you'll be getting meeting invitations and reminders and such at both addresses instead of just the main. The Alive board elections are open, so please do vote. You should have received an email about that. If you need a link to that ballot again, just let me know. Our annual meeting is November 30th, where you'll get to meet our new board members, hear a little bit about our accomplishments for this year and our goals for next year's. And the volunteer management progress report is still open. And of course, you know that is run by Volunteer Pro. If you take that report, then you get the sneak peek webinar in January, and it's the 6th or 7th year. And it's a great benchmark, and it's a great tool to be able to use in a lot of different ways. And there are still opportunities available to present for Alive Academy in 2022, especially for the last half of 2022. So as Karina said, you know, if you want some more experience in public speaking, presenting or training, please reach out to us here at the Programs and Advocacy Department, and we'll be happy to get back to you. But that is a great way to work on that brand. And if you signed up for something like next November, you'd have a whole year to get ready and work on it. What a great goal that would be. And there are definitely open committee positions for all of these. And so I would just encourage you to go to the Alive website. And again, you know, big calendar person, I ask people to just calendar stuff once a month or once a week to go to the Alive website, see what's going on. And just again, would like to thank Karina very much for her time and expertise today. Always a pleasure. And as someone that I have shared a meal with, but even if I had not done that, I would still feel very connected by, you know, what we've shared online and with social media. So thank you very much. Again, I most appreciated. And again, thank to all of you for attending, and we will see you at the next Academy. And I'm just going to invite you to go to the calendar and find out when. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you online next time. Thanks,
Thank
Karina.
you.
Bye.
Bye.